Okay.
All right, so I am Nicole Fouché, and I'm here with Alicia, the most beautiful, inspiring person I've had the pleasure of working with since April of this year. And just with the amazing miracles that have happened in her life with pranic healing, with all the work that she has done, she really has become a beacon of hope in our lives, and we're hoping to share that with a lot of you today. So welcome, Alicia. I'm so glad to see you again.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
We met, I think it was in April of this year.
Yes.
And I still remember so clearly our conversation. I was having a particularly busy week, and we were trying to get you on the schedule. Your beautiful sister-in-law introduced us. And I think it was 9 o'clock at night for you. And I remembered getting on the call, and that was really late and a bit of a struggle to get through that call. Do you want to just give us an idea of where you were, like just that timestamp of where you were in April of this year?
Yeah, so that day that we had spoken, I'd been struggling physically for over 6 months with lots of body aches and pains and joint pain. And at that point, I was in so much pain, I could barely walk on my left leg. And I was so fatigued. 7 o'clock was like my bedtime. I was laying in bed most of the day. My husband had to basically take over all the responsibilities with our children. And I had learned, I had gotten the initial results back from a biopsy that I had cancer, that they definitively knew I had bone metastasis, but they didn't know at that date yet until they continued looking at the biopsy, if I, where the primary source of the tumor was. But I knew at that point I had cancer, and it just shook me to the core. I was already deeply depressed because I had moved to Sweden 4 years prior from New York, and the language barrier, the cultural differences, I just could not assimilate. I could not ground myself in Sweden. And with that, I became so depressed. And hearing news like getting cancer, everyone, you hear the word cancer and it just equals death. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, how is this possible? Like, how I feel like I've been suffering for so many years already. My relationship with my husband was in shambles. And now I have cancer. And at that time, I didn't know. I later learned, it was, I think, a few days after our Zoom call, that I did definitively found out that I had stage 4 lung cancer with metastasis to the bone and liver. And then later I would find out a few weeks later that I also, through a routine MRI, that I also had brain metastasis. I was just devastated. And so when we spoke that day, I was already in such a dark place. And you were such a beacon of light for me, because it was the first conversation that I had had in a long time where I felt lifted, and I felt like there was a possibility of hope based on all the information you were sharing with me about pranic healing. And then just even simple pieces of advice you gave me, like, you need to protect your energy. You need to only be around people that love you, truly love you. And you need to be around people that lift you, that make you feel powerful and amazing. Find photos of yourself where your life force energy was at its fullest. Put them on the refrigerator. Remember that moment, because that is who you are. This disease is just a manifestation of your inner world being at its lowest. I don't know what the word is, but all of your words, all of the hope that you instilled in me. I remember getting off that call, and it was 9 o'clock at night. I'm typically so exhausted, or I was at that time. And I just ran into the kitchen and told my husband, I was like, oh my God, I had the most incredible call with this woman. And I'm so inspired. And I feel like for the first time, I have hope that I can undo this. I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to make this happen. And you know, and it's really interesting because so during our call, we then scheduled my first pranic healing session, and it was via Zoom, which, you know, I had no idea what energy healing really was. So I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to go with it, because everything that Nicole said just sounded so true. And it just resonated so deeply with me. I was like, this makes so much sense. So here we go. I'm going to do pranic healing. And ironically, my pranic healing session started at the same time as my cancer treatment. And I just look at it now, I'm like, wow, I feel like all the stars were aligned, because I so needed pranic healing in my life. Because if I had not had pranic healing, I would have started taking my inhibitor drug and taken this tablet every morning at 9 a.m. And I would have just thought about, oh, I have cancer. I would have felt like a victim. Oh, poor me. And I would have fallen deeper down in the darkness that I already was in.
And after my amazing, yeah, because I remember we worked in the healing pod, so there was a team of 4 of us, and I really think that was the magic formula that we had, where we got 4 really strong healers all working at the same time. And the progress that you made so quickly, I mean, it really was miraculous. And I do believe you started that treatment. We didn't have a lot of time to work with, but literally you went in positive, you went in focused, you went in optimistic. Yes. I mean, we were expecting miracles, you know, and essentially that's the energy that you were, you know, projecting at that time, which was just amazing. I mean, from that week to the next week, it was almost like you had just kind of stepped into this whole new way of thinking and perspective, yes. And just way of looking at things, which was so amazing.
Yeah, it truly, there was miraculous healing happening right from the first week of working with you. And I loved the protocol, because my very first session was a healing session via Zoom. But then you and your team, it was like Tuesday, it was meditation on twin hearts. And I was trained on how to do this meditation, to accurately do the exercises. On Wednesday, it was gratitude work. And, you know, it was like 1 hour of just learning how to be grateful for everything I had in my life. And it made me realize, like, my God, my life is so beautiful. Cancer or not, I have an amazing life. And then we did another healing session on Thursday, and on Friday it was forgiveness work, which I so needed to do. That I knew that I had so much emotional baggage, so much trauma that was suppressed, that I needed to release. And this was my life for 1 month. Monday through Friday, I was with you and your team every day. And every day I was just slowly pulled, like, out of that dark cave back into the light. And after 1 week, I was no longer taking painkillers. I was taking many painkillers.
Quite a few, right? I mean, it was.
Yes, I was. You know, I was in pain all day long. There were so many aches and pains throughout my body that I was taking multiple, like, hot steaming showers to soothe the pain, along with taking painkillers. After the first week, I was no longer taking painkillers. By the end of the week, I'd stopped taking hot showers. And this is, like, I don't even know, like, this is just, I feel like it's symbolism for me. That first week, I was so depressed about my whole life situation. I was taking showers in the dark. I never switched on the light in the bathroom. And I, like, by the end of the week, I was like, I don't need to be in the dark anymore. And ever since that day, I switched the light on in the bathroom and I bathe in light. I know that sounds silly, but it just was like, I don't know, once I switched that light on, it was like, now I'm moving forward on a new path. I have a new trajectory, and I am, going to be on this healing journey on the side of love, not fear, not darkness. I will live in light and love. And that is how my healing journey has been thus far. And gosh, there's so much to say. So that first week, no pain, no more hot steaming showers. And I started to notice that my leg was improving. I was pushing a chair around because I was struggling so badly with my left leg. But by mid-May, because of all of my wonderful gratitude journaling that I was taught to do, I have a journal on May 17th, and I'll read it because I do each week. So it was Monday the 17th. So I have a gratitude weekly report, and I had written, a miraculous week. My left leg is almost 100% better. I no longer use the chair to get around. I can walk and I can climb the stairs to my children's bedroom and kiss them goodnight and read bedtime stories. And I'm exercising again. I mean, that's 2 weeks of pranic healing. I was living my life relatively normal again. And one thing I didn't mention is the energy. Like after the first session, it was, I guess, May 3rd, I felt so lifted and energized. Even my husband was like, oh my God, like you have so much energy. I didn't have to go to bed at 7. I didn't have to be in bed. I was living my life again. So yeah, that was 2 weeks of pranic healing. And by the end of the month, I was doing yoga again with my yoga teacher. My body, I was able to move my body in ways that I was not able to before, in April. It was just like, every day just felt like there was so much progress, and I was just filled with optimism and love, and every day just felt like such a gift. And that's how people should live their lives with cancer, and not live in a state of fear and feel like a victim, because it doesn't have to be that way. And imagine how much your healing will escalate if you live in a place of love instead of fear. And that's what pranic healing has done for me. It's changed my life.
And you're going to change so many lives, because you really truly have done the work. And when we look at the work you did in that first month, having to do the forgiveness, working with the gratitude, doing the meditation on twin hearts, one of the things all of us commented on was just how receptive and open you were.
Yes.
Whatever we said, look, we think you need to do this, you did it 110%. It was amazing. One last thing just before we finish, I think it was in that same journal entry on the 17th of May, I think you'd written something about your relationship that had already improved within a few weeks. Did you want to just read that? It was just so lovely. Just as an extra side benefit, because we were really focusing on the cancer. But when you look at all the other peripheral areas of your life that started improving, and I think you even, I recall you saying that when you got this diagnosis, everybody was in such a state of shock and fear. And even the way that they were looking at you and interacting with you was different, right?
Yes. Yes. We were a family in crisis. And that was just my immediate family, my husband and my 2 children. And there was no harmony. My children were acting out. My husband, he was, all he could focus on was, okay, because I had changed my diet. I had gone to having a vegan diet, another thing that I changed dramatically. So his focus was just like, I'm just going to keep going to the store and the health food store and hunt for organic, celery, and hunt for all of these things. We just felt so divided. I had no connection with him. And before that, I mean, our relationship was completely on the rocks, because I mean, the reality is I was like blaming him for us living in Sweden, because I had just, my mind, my egoic thinking just had convinced myself that like I needed to move back to the States. And when in reality, I have a beautiful life here in Sweden, and I just never saw it. And once I started doing the work and we started shifting the energy and clearing my chakras, I just was like, God, I love my husband so much. I hate him. And because I shifted and my behavior changed, there was so much love and harmony in my family. Like we were sitting at the dinner table together, laughing again, and everyone was relaxed and having fun, and life just felt, it's like, if I can just have this moment, then, I mean, cancer was almost worth it. Like I do say this all the time, like getting cancer was a gift. It's challenging. And yes, I have a long journey ahead of me, but I look at it, it's such a gift, because my life has never been more beautiful. My family life is so fantastic. I mean, I remember that feeling, that moment, sitting at the kitchen table and just looking around, and everyone was laughing and happy. And we had not had a moment like that in so long. And it's been like that, since I started working with Pranic healing in May. I mean, like, it just gets better and better. I mean, my husband and I are now like on a spiritual journey together. We have so much to talk about. There's so much laughter, and we're having so much fun with each other and our children. It's
inspiring. It's inspiring.
Yes, I mean, I'm inspired. I just can't. I can't even, like, words cannot express how much my life has changed for the better.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So I'm going to stop this here now, and we're going to do, I think, another few segments, because literally from May through October, almost every week there was just miracle upon miracle upon miracle happening. And I would love to share that with everybody. So thank you, Alicia. You are amazing, and we've so enjoyed working with you, and just thank you so much.
Thank you. So much gratitude.